appreciation for music.
Yeah. Well, actually, to be honest with you, I actually think that they should have structured it slightly differently. I actually think March of the Pigs is probably the best song to open that whole album on.
Yeah. When I got the album first, that was one of the only songs I used to listen to was March of the Pigs. I didn't really like it. Yes, I think Ruiner I quite liked, and then The Becoming as well. But and then the rest. No,
I think to ease people into that whole album, I think Mr. Self-Destruct is a very hard opener if you're not a fan.
But that's
of
what they
Nails.
wanted to do. Though.
I know. Yeah.
It was like they didn't expect it to be a commercial success or for people to even fucking like the thing. At all. It was meant to be like a hard album.
Yeah, actually, it's a very sonically hard album to digest at times, but Mr. Self-Destruct is a very off-putting song to try and get into if you're not a Nine Inch Nails fan at all.
So, Jen?
I really did try with it. I listened to the album a total of 3 times. I listened to it just while I was chilling out. I was listening to it kind of just, literally listening to it and doing nothing else, and I also listened to it while I was kind of cleaning up. So I don't know, it just, for me, there was 1 or 2 songs in there, Hurt and A Warm Place, that they were grand. The other ones made me want to get a nail and stab myself in the ear several times, I have to admit. I can appreciate the work that went into the album. I can appreciate the, kind of the messages behind quite a lot of it. I know it's meant to be kind of dark and deep and so on, but I'm realising more and more throughout the podcast, which is probably, good, that this is definitely not for me. But I did enjoy listening to it because I now know what I don't like. I don't mean that. I don't mean it in a bad way at all.
That is such a negging. Like the equivalent of a neg. It's just like a backhanded compliment. It's like,
I enjoy this because I now know what
I really appreciate that we're doing the podcast, because it is opening my eyes to different types of music. But I do have to admit, when I listened to the album first, if it was for the first song and the first song alone, I would have turned it off immediately. It wasn't for me whatsoever. When I got to Hurt, I was like, yeah, you know what, maybe towards the end of the album, well, it is the last song, but literally was like, yeah, okay, grand. I listened to A Warm Place. I thought, we're getting somewhere with this. I'm going to enjoy the rest of it. And then straight on to Eraser, where I was like, damn. But
and
most of his other stuff is actually closer to A Warm Place.
I was just going to say, if you liked A Warm Place, if you listen to his stuff when he's closer to our age, when he's his current stuff,
I'd be definitely open to that.
Yeah, he has a lot of instrumental stuff, and a lot of his later work he has mellowed considerably, and he's not an angry young man anymore.
One thing I would say is that
all of his industrial edge.
I've definitely learned one thing through the last few months, is that if I'm put off of one album of an artist, it doesn't mean I don't like that artist. It just means I don't like that album.
Yeah.
But it definitely would make me want to kind of actually look into Nine Inch Nails a little bit more and kind of go, okay, maybe I'm sure that there are songs, like there definitely those 2 songs, Hurt and A Warm Place, are actually going to make it onto a playlist. The rest, no, not for me. But I am finding that there's at least 1 or 2 songs from each album we've listened to that I do like. So that's the positive I can kind of gain from it.
Would you have preferred Epica's album to this?
Yes.
My God.
See,
I would have thought that this would have been more easy.
No, I actually did.
More accessible.
As much as I didn't like Epica, I preferred it.
It's like, I liked it, but they're all shit.
I'm trying to be nice, but
Epica would be a lot easier listening this way. You're forgetting where you're coming from.
Because I've listened to this kind of stuff for so long.
That's what I'm saying, you're forgetting your fucking background.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, I wouldn't be opposed to going back and actually listening to it again and giving it yet another chance, because I want to... I do want to broaden my horizons when it comes to music.
What was it you were saying earlier on? It was like Big Man with a Gun was the one that you just felt, it kind of just made you feel incredibly angry and
depressed. I came out of the shower after listening to that song going, I genuinely want to throw myself off a roof. Seriously, I was so down the dumps after that song.
It's doing its job.
That probably is
that's the thought it's meant to provoke.
It evoked anger. Self-hatred, and wanting to go into your DIY kit and find the biggest nail possible and shove it into my ear.
Well, I mean, then
he got into a load of shit over that song as well, because if the song was meant to be basically kind of like taking the piss out of kind of rap music at the time, kind of like the way that was like really misogynistic, and he wanted to make a statement against rap music, but sure, fucking the people that were like, you know, against music and all that kind of like took it, and they were like
they took it at face value, and they just kind of went, "Oh, you think you're a big man with a gun, dude?" And kind of went, "It's sarcasm and fucking."
But as well, he thinks that song is kind of like shit, and it's one of the worst. He regrets ever putting it on the album just because he doesn't think it fits on the album or it's very good.
But obviously it's doing its job though if it's sort of evoking and provoking sort of reactions like that as well, because that's
so as a piece of art he accomplished what he set out to. It just is not your cup of tea.
No, but as I said, it wouldn't stop me from actually putting it on again and giving it another go.
Now, what I would say is maybe sort of from, say, maybe the Slip, which is a bit more sort of poppy, upwards, going to Hesitation,
even
Marks,
with
Ghosts, that kind of stuff.
And I would be willing to give that a go, to be fair.
Well, the next album, The Fragile, is actually...
It's not
there's
so
a lot
bad.
of kind of like, you know, kind of like songs on that. There's
stuff,
more kind of like, you know, instrumental pieces on it, and
I tell you, there's actually what you should check out is there's one particular song. Have a listen to the Le Maire.
Yeah,
that is absolutely fucking stunningly beautiful. And if you don't listen to anything else by 9 Inch Nails, have a listen to Le Maire. That's about the only song I'd recommend if you want to have a listen to something absolutely stunningly beautiful. It's all piano, vocals, and that's pretty much it.
We went to see 300 because the trailer for it had 9 Inch Nails. It's an instrumental bit, 9 Inch Nails on it, and it like fits fucking so well with 300.
One thing
that was just like, oh my god, and then it's not in the film at all.
One thing that did surprise me though, I found myself singing along to one or two of the tracks, not much now, but like little bits. And then I was like, do I actually hate this as much as I kind of think I do, or do I want to hate this? So I still haven't really made up my mind in regards to that as of yet.
It's quite insidious.
It takes
it's an earworm.
It sounds really weird and kind of like fucking counter, kind of like, you know, intuitive about it. How it probably takes about 10 times to listen to it,
and
then you kind of.
I didn't like it the first time.
But is that Stockholm syndrome or is that actual enjoyment?
No, it's because it's a thing. It's like why
if you're not going to like it, listen to it 20 times, then you'll definitely like it.
See, the whole thing that he did, it was like what fucking kind of like started. It was kind of the birth of Trent Reznor as a producer as well. Not that he didn't produce these other, but there was like 26 layers of guitars on some of the tracks, so kind of like it's your ears don't take it in, so it takes a long time, and that's not kind of like something that he did deliberately, that it was like, oh, people really get it after a certain. It's just one of these that you can't actually process,
because I did try it like through the AirPods, through the Google Home, and in the radio in the car, or on the stereo in the car. So like I did listen to it in kind of different ways, different volumes, things like that. I suppose just for me, I personally feel with an album, if I don't like it once, I'll give it another try. If I don't like it that time, I'll give it one last try, but 3 is kind of my max when it comes to music. If I don't like it after the third try, I kind of, you know, just erase.
Well, that's it. It's not for everyone, you know, kind of the thing. And that's
absolutely,
but that's all I was saying with this. I think what it appeals to people that are,
if all music for us forever, we'd all be listening to Kids Bop.
Oh God, yeah,
exactly. Yeah. But I think it appeals to people that are like into like musicians and stuff like that, particularly because and especially at the time, it was like there was all these that, like, I mean, no one really knew what Pro Tools was, and you started hearing about all these mad fucking things that they were doing. That was just kind of like, well, how the fuck are they doing that? And like even with the samples, like people didn't really use samples like that before.
Not in the way he was.
Yeah, and it was kind of like a lot of people were just like, what the? And I think that's why. Kind of for me, why I kept going back listening to it wasn't so much that I'd like, because I didn't like it at first at all, and I was listening to it going, how the fuck is that a guitar? Is it a fucking or
what is making that fucking
and then
noise?
You listen to it so much, you start picking out all these different bits and pieces, and then you start. Well, for me, then I started liking it. But yeah, it's not an easy.
It's not an easy listen, and it's
not
as
for
well.
Everybody. It's sometimes I would be kind of like that opinion sometimes, where it's like, if an album is good, you shouldn't have to go listen to it 10 times before you go, hey, you know, actually it's alright. You know?
But see, as well, I suppose sometimes it depends on sort of the music you're used to listening to yourself anyway, because I think if you're used to listening to a certain type of music, you tune into that kind of music a lot easier. Do you know what I mean? Sort of, it's not as hard work listening to it. So you kind of go, right, I see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And kind of just slot into that kind of.
Yeah, because you know the motifs and kind of you're used to these things, so you can digest it after one listen or two listens.
It's not as sonically shocking to you. You're not kind of sitting there going, Jesus Christ, this is just fucking noise. This just sounds like fucking nuts and bolts in the washing machine. You kind of, do you know what I mean? Because
if all you've ever been listening to is like Justin Bieber, and then you throw on fucking Cradle of Filth, it's going to be a bit different.
Yeah.
Well, actually saying that, I remember getting, I think it was Dusk and Her Embrace, a Cradle of Filth album years ago, and I was listening to Mayhem and shit like that at the time, and I put that on and I was like, I cannot listen to this. And as well, there was like stuff about sodomy and all this, and I was like, this is filthy. And I actually brought the album back because I was like disgusted.
And then you went down really got a new haircut to join in with the other Karens protesting against the music.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I think it's really fun because like then about a year later I was looking back on that album, I've been really twee.
Yeah, you're like, oh my god. Indeed. But yes. But yeah, like, I mean, the whole album itself, I mean, I think the album itself flows really well. I think it's all, and if you listen to it as well, I mean, I don't know if you probably did pick up on it, there's an overarching kind of there's a little piano motif just runs through it, and almost every song it's like a little chromatic tinkle. That Wayne is beautifully singing for us now. And funnily enough as well, he actually, I don't know if he subconsciously does it, but it actually it shows up every now and again in some of his later albums as well. Some of his later songs, you hear a little kind of a...
Well, most musicians have that kind of, you know...
They just have a little kind of thing they just subconsciously go back to again.
Maybe he treats it like his little signature.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But I think stuff like that just kind of... It's just this nice little thread that just weaves through all of the album and just kind of ties it all together and just...
Have you seen Seven?
No, I've never actually seen it. I know of it, I just haven't...
You've never seen Seven?
No, I haven't. Have you seen Seven?
Well, you should though.
No, Jen hasn't seen Seven either. She just doesn't want to say it.
It's but the
Fincher,
music to it is Trent Reznor, one of the first kind of like, well, it wasn't the first soundtrack that he did, but it was it's Closer. It's different versions of Closer, like at the start of it, kind of a thing. It's what was it? It's but those songs are on the deluxe edition.
Okay. Yeah, because like I like that would be my main grasp of like Trent Reznor and whatnot. It would have come from I think the first kind of time, like obviously you would have talked about him before, but the first time I'd kind of seen him outside of like his Nine Inch Nails kind of persona would have been The Social Network when he did the soundtrack for that. Now I know, as you're saying, he's done other ones before, but that was the first kind of time I realised he did other things outside of Nine Inch Nails, and when I looked into it more, I kind of realised he's... So you were saying this is his first producing debut, was it?
No.
Downward Spiral, was it?
No, it's just kind of like it's when he kind of ramped up with the production because like I mean, Nine Inch Nails is Trent Reznor. It's basically like the first album he wrote and he did all the stuff, you know. But kind of like this is where I think they started stepping into kind of like proper production kind of stuff themselves with it, you know.
Fair enough. Okay.
Kind of like where they were taking control of things, because who was the producer on this album was Flood, who he would have done
the guys from Halo.
Yes, those guys. He would have done stuff like he was a big producer and stuff, and then they started kind of like butting heads with each other on this because Trent Reznor started trying to take more control of things, you know.
How dare he take control of his own music?
Yeah, but as well, he went on, like he set up, he was given his own kind of record label after this as well. And it was a Warner Brothers, I think, probably would have been under. And he, after a while, he just went fuck it, because he's very much kind of like into the music and into the art, and not so much the money. He's always been kind of like that. He's done like weird things over the years for people. Like he did one thing a while ago where you couldn't buy the tickets for a gig online. You had to actually queue up at a record store to buy it because he was saying he want people to get back into.
Oh, that's cool. That. You actually had to queue up at the venue.
Yeah. Was at the venue? Was it?
So you had to show up, and that was it.
I kind of like that.
But
you went and saw Nine Inch Nails as well, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Flew all the way to London from Ireland.
Yeah. And there was like. Well, he's just as well. There was a whole thing out in Australia for some reason. CDs at the time. I presume it's still the same.
They are still the same.
Fortune.
Ferociously.
So say what was like
it's the same with most media. Like they're saying, like I didn't know about CDs, but I'd heard about video games doing the same thing, where it's just like they tax the imports on those like ridiculously. It's like, oh, it's an entertainment. It's like, okay, it's a little bit of a dick move, but okay.
But I think it was like for CDs, it was like $40 or $50.
Yeah, it was outrageous.
So when he was at a gig out there, he did not realise this was going on. So he actually turned around and he said to people, "Yeah, look, just steal my music. I don't give a fuck.
Download my music."
And then he started putting his own music up himself for people to download for free.
Yeah.
And you know, so he's always been like that, and he's very much kind of like art before kind of like money.